let me know. Let's go, let's go. Y'all ready for the show? If so, then let me know. Yeah, I'm just letting y'all know I'm here, getting ready. All right. So this right now, man, we're gonna start doing the show kind of like a live in studio taping, where you're like the live in studio audience that get to watch as we set everything up. We might have to do some retakes, all of that good stuff, you know? And at the end of this, I'm gonna take it down, put it in private, chop it up, edit, then re-upload. Word up. Word up. Before we get into it, let me know how the audio sounding. Am I low? Am I high? Where we at with it? Somebody let me know. Peace. What's happening, good people? This gift here for Pay Us No Mind. And today, we're talking about a few things, man. We're talking about this bill that's supposed to require Spotify to create a minimum wage for music artists, and just some of the, I guess, sensationalism that I see floating around in regards to it. Also, Warner Music Group now having 13 days to put their bid in for Tunecore. And also, now the Tunecore class action thing, I'm being a little bit facetious, man, because it's like somebody had said something to me about it. So then I went looking up stuff, and it's silly, man, you know, but we're gonna talk about that stuff, man, and more, yo. Word up. Hold on. Yeah, so we'll be talking about that stuff and more, and just breaking down all of these different things. Now, you guys know how this go. I run my mouth about the topic at hand. Hold on, let me check this again, just to make sure we all right. Yeah. So you guys know how this go. I run my mouth about the topic at hand for the first 15, 20 minutes. Then we get into the live chat where everybody get to ask questions and all of that good stuff, man. So let me do that. Let me check the system and then we gonna kick it off. All right, y'all? Yeah, man. So first things first, let's talk about this Spotify bill. You know, let me cue that up. So we got this bill that was proposed by a Congresswoman and a congressman named, I think, Bowman or something like that, and Rashida Tlaib. And I talked about this on the previous live stream, but this bill is constructed to require Spotify to pay at least a penny per stream to all artists. And the way that they plan on getting Spotify to pay this additional revenue is by taxing their non-music related income. So you got what Spotify makes from subscriptions and what they make from ad revenue from ads playing while people are listening to music. But then you have stuff that they make from like whatever podcast dealings that they be doing or whatever partnerships that they make and leverage outside of the music related revenue that gets generated. So they're gonna tax them on that, and then they're gonna add a small tax onto the subscription fee for people who are paying to use Spotify to work as an additional form of compensation for the artists who have music on the platform. Now, this is not just for like this doesn't replace the streaming revenue. Like it's not like a new thing. It will be on top of what artists get from Spotify already. So you would get your standard streaming rate, then on top of your standard streaming rate, you would get this. This is the way that I'm interpreting what they're trying to do, right? Now, the thing about this and why I'm circling back to it is I just kept coming across videos where people are like, oh, this is gonna make artists get paid. Oh, artists, like, you better get your stuff together now because you're about to get paid. Oh, artists are gonna make so much money. And I'm like, do people know how bills work? You know what I'm saying? Like, do people know how politics work? Because first off, with politics, man, we are in an election year. Let's get that thing straight, right? We're in an election year. People are trying to get elected. People are trying to get their name out there, you know, raise awareness, things of that nature. And you have something called virtue signaling, where people can speak up about something but not do anything about it. But just because they spoke up about it, they seem like they support it. So they get the support of people who think that they support the cause without actually having to do anything about it. So that's like an example of virtue signaling would be like a white guy going to accept an award and being like, you know what, police brutality is wrong and police need to stop killing innocent black men in the streets, right? If somebody stood up and said that, but privately they did nothing, right? They didn't support any legislation. They didn't fund any causes. They didn't do anything. They just said that one thing in that one speech, right? Got the brownie points, got the applause, all of that stuff like that. So it's like, with virtue signaling, that's what comes with that. It's the applause, it's the props, and things of that nature. So something like this could just be virtue signaling. You know, hey, we support you, indie artists, and then the indie artists look and say, look who supports us. And then as a result of this, they get a ton of free press, right? So as a result of this, they get a ton of free press. They get everybody talking about them on Twitter. So as people talk about this, they got to talk about them. So their name circulates in every tweet. Their name circulates in every article. So that's just mad free advertising that they get for them and themselves and their campaigns and things of that nature. Now, ultimately, this bill might just fall flat, might not even make it to committee, might not make it to the Senate or the House or anything like that, or go anywhere. But they got what they wanted out of it, you know? And the reality of the situation with this is, what is the likelihood of this bill passing? And when you think about the likelihood of it, you got to consider more things than just what's fair. Because the reality of the situation, especially, you know, you got a Republican Senate, you know, things of that nature. People are pro-business. So what you got to realize is people or these politicians support businesses because businesses supply jobs. That's why they support the businesses. So when you think about doing something to benefit artists that might potentially harm a business, they're not going to vote in favor of the artist if it harms the business, because they look at it and they say, who employs more people? You know, so it's like in the bill, they talk about the artists employing studio engineers and things of that nature, but still, a lot of artists record at home, you know, and any artist at the level where they're like really like supplying industry to the effect of like employees and stuff like that, they're making money from touring and things of that nature. So it's like streaming isn't a huge part of their revenue. So when they think about it, it's like, okay, well, the artists who are doing stuff, they essentially don't really need streaming revenue. The artists that are dependent on it don't really employ anybody. They're making music from their home, electronic dance music, things of that nature, you know. But you think about how many people Spotify employ. You think about how many people are employed at Apple Music. You think about how many people are employed at Deezer and these types of platforms and stuff like that, and how much money circulates because they employ these people. So it's not just who they employ, it's the fact that these people got to go to work. So work means transportation. People got to drive cars, people got to pay tolls, people got to pay for train passes to ride the train. When they out, people got to go to restaurants to eat lunch, you know, buy breakfast, stuff like that. So local stores, businesses, all of this stuff is dependent on employees and things of that nature going to work. So if you propose a bill and Spotify and all of the streaming platforms say, yo, man, if you pass this, it's going to cause our businesses to potentially go bankrupt and shut down, they're not going to support that bill. They're going to be like, nah, we can't have it. Like, yeah, it's what would be fair for the artist, but it's going to harm the business. So all in all, they would say no and vote it down, or not even let it get that far. But just the way that I saw people talking about it and discussing it made me feel like, you know, this might be a good time to go over what happens with a bill. So I got a little something for y'all, right? A little surprise rather. Moving on. Warner Music Group. So for those that don't know, because I talked about this previously as well, Tunecore could potentially be acquired by Warner Music Group. So what happened was the CEO of Believe, which owns Tunecore, and an investment group that also is an investor in Believe, which owns Tunecore, decided to come together to try to buy Tunecore, which is which is a publicly traded company, and take it private, right? So that's what they wanted to do. The CEO wanted to combine with a group of other investors to pool money, buy Believe, Tunecore, and take it private, where they would have control over it and everything like that. Now, once they announced that they wanted to buy it, news broke. That news circulated in the media, like it leaked. And once it leaked and became public knowledge, other entities that didn't know it was for sale decided to reach out and make an offer too. So Warner Music Group decided to make an offer, or make a potential offer for Believe. And their floated offer was for a higher amount than what the CEO of Tunecore, aka Believe, was offering. So him and his investment group was trying to buy Believe for, I think, like $15 a share, somewhere around there. And Warner Music Group came in offering like $17, $18 a share to buy it, right? So obviously, the company, the board members was like, well, we want to sell the company for the most money we can and not the least money. So the agreement with the CEO was that they would make an appeal to the investors and let the investors know, hey, these guys want to buy it, some type of ethics code or something like that, that needed to, like a process that needed to take place where the investors had to be informed of the CEO's intentions or something to that effect. And then if they went through that and all of the board members was like, yeah, let's go forward, then everything would be good to go and they would be able to proceed. But once Warner Music Group decided to put their hat in the game, the CEO of Believe kind of got nervous and felt like, oh, okay, well, let's try to expedite this. So they decided to try to waive that step of having the investors basically be briefed on what was happening and I guess the intricacy of the deal and things of that nature. And Believe, because I think they want to sell to Warner because they feel like they're going to make more money, they appealed to the French court, basically the French government, the entity in France that operates kind of like the SEC in America, right? The Security and Exchange Commission. They appealed to them to step in and review this thing that the CEO of Believe wanted to do to make sure that it was legal for him to do it. Because effectively, if they would have did this, then he would have been able to combine with the other investors and they would have been able to basically have 70% or something like that of the company, which would have made it totally not worth it for Warner Music Group to buy the company. So when the French court decided, no, this is not legal, you guys can't do that, then that meant that the purchase from the CEO of Believe and his investment group wouldn't be expedited. So now it's a game, right? So now what's happening is Believe, Tunecore, is granting Warner Music Group access to all of their private information, right? Like all of the information about how much money they make, how the operations work, things of that nature for Warner Music Group to review and put forth their bid. And if the CEO of Believe and his group doesn't come with a bid that can compete with Warner Music Group's, then Warner Music Group ends up with Believe and Tunecore. Now, what I believe is that ultimately Warner Music Group is going to end up owning Tunecore, because if they want it, it's theirs. So right now, all this is just a matter of Warner Music Group looking over these documents and seeing what's what with Believe. And if they like what they see, I don't think the CEO of Believe and that investment group is going to be able to compete with a bid from Warner. You know, so ultimately, I think that, yeah, we're going to end up with Warner owning Tunecore. Now, what does that mean for artists and where everything goes from here? I don't know, you know, because at the end of the day, they might not change anything. They might leave everything alone and just say, hey, we own it, right? We control that market share. This group of indie artists are advancing every day, and now they're one of us. So we don't have to be worried about what happens with them because they're a part of our group. So their market share is our market share, right? So they could leave everything alone. Now, it's interesting with Tunecore from the effect that they got a whole campaign that's constructed around indie as F, right? Like FUC, you know, like that's the whole thing where they got Papoose and all of these artists, and it's like indie is F, you know, like, oh, we so indie, we not messing with those record companies, we control everything. So it's like to have a whole campaign and to have that be your marketing pitch and that be your marketing push and then get bought by a record company. I don't know. They seem like they're gonna have to do a rebrand, right? Like at least that is gonna have to be some type of rebrand, because you can't run around talk about indie as F if you owned by Warner Music Group. You know, like that is out the window, bro. You know, so we ain't there with it. Yeah, man. But yeah, I mean, listen, when it comes to what something like Warner is thinking, they thinking market share. That's what they thinking. Market share, maintain control over the industry. Now, the ripple effect of this could be crazy because, and I said this previously, it could start an arms race because everybody knows that that indie artist sector is exploding from a growth perspective. So if Warner Music Group is looking at it and they buy a company as big as Believe, because it's Believe just isn't Tunecore. Believe is also Centric, the publishing administrator. So it's like Centric operates kind of like Songtrust, but it's owned by Believe. Believe just bought it. So they will own Believe. So they will own people like a stake in the publishing of the artists that use Tunecore. So, you know, Believe or Centric, I believe, takes like 15% of the publishing. So they would have a 15% stake in the publishing of the artists that are signed up for Tunecore publishing. So they will have a 15% stake in the artists that are signed up for Tunecore publishing. And then they will have whatever stake in Tunecore. And that's the thing too with Tunecore, right? Because recently Tunecore announced that they was gonna have like an accelerator program, which they paint as a new feature. This accelerator program auto ops artists into this feature that will take 20% of their revenue. So you sign up to Tunecore to keep 100% of your revenue. Once you pass some undisclosed threshold, they take 20%. Unless you go in and turn it off, which odds are you're not even gonna know it's on to turn it off. So Warner Music Group can look at that and be like, all right, so we getting 20% of their revenue, we getting 15% of their publishing. Makes great sense. You know what I'm saying? Works out. We got them paying maybe $50 a year. We're getting 20% of their streaming revenue and their sales, plus 15% of their publishing, of a exploding sector that is just cleaning our clock in regards of market share. So we absorb that too. Win all over the place. Nothing but wins, right? All we do is win no matter what, you know? And I know that Universal Music Group is going to be looking at that and being like, oh, okay. And now you're talking about them maybe going and buying Downtown, which owns CD Baby. You know, them looking and trying to maybe go and acquire DistroKid or go and acquire 1RPM or any of these companies, any company that we would view as being a major independent digital distributor, likely they're going to go and gobble them up. So this could be like an arms race, like Hungry Hippo for market share, where all of these companies just start getting gobbled up and we start to see mass consolidation around these companies, man. Now, the result of that mass consolidation, because the record companies and their issue with digital distributors and why Universal Music Group taking these aggressive approaches is to kind of knock them off the board. So I don't think the reason why they want them gone changes. And the reason why they want them gone is because they feel like they're peddling garbage. They feel like they're giving everybody and their mama an opportunity to upload music, and the music is poor and it's creating a poor user experience and dragging down the value of music and watering down the value of their product. So they want a lot of that stuff gone. So with them buying up all of these different platforms, buying up all of these different digital distributors, what you could see with the mass consolidation is restrictions. Basically taking it back to a form of gatekeeping, where everything becomes like application based and you got to submit applications to prove that your music has some value before they'll allow you to use the service. So you could see something like that, and that would be, you know, one of the worst case scenarios if they just start restricting everything and forcing everybody to basically build an audience before they can do digital distribution. So it's like if you can't get something going on TikTok or SoundCloud or YouTube or social media, then you wouldn't be able to qualify to use Tunecore or CD Baby or something to that effect. So that's something that we could potentially see on the heels of this potential acquisition. You know? Now, another thing I wanted to talk about, because I saw somebody post a comment, you know, and I'm going to show y'all what they said, right? Because I posted about the whole thing with Believe getting bought by Warner Music Group and how it was more likely, right? So I was like, looking like Warner Music Group buying Tunecore is the likeliest outcome here. Crazy, you know? And then you have Raven Hawk. He was like, it's starting to look like Tunecore might end up with a class action lawsuit against them, which might cause Warner Music Group to either lower their bid or just walk away from it altogether. Now, my thing with this is this right here, right? And I got nothing to show you. I'm just talking to you. Is this. All streaming platforms, like all digital distributors, have a clause in their terms of agreement that effectively requires you to waive your right to sue and binds you to what's called our arbitration, where there is no court, there is a mediator. So they hire an independent mediator, and you and Tunecore or you and CD Baby meet with this mediator. You provide your case, they provide their case, and then this mediator is supposed to come to some resolution. But it's not court, it's not a judge order, right? So whether it can actually be enforceable is, you know, up in the air, you know, but you can't sue them. There is no class action lawsuit because you've waived your right to sue. So I know that there's a lot of stuff floating around on the internet where it's like people are claiming that streaming fraud, these guys took my music down. Yo, we need to put together. Dude, you waived your right to sue. You agreed to the terms of agreement. You used the platform. You can't sue them. You know, like this reminds me of a thing with a crypto platform, a crypto trading card platform called NBA Top Shot that was selling like video clips of like highlights as like a new form of basketball cards. And because the prices on there can be inflated, where people are selling like a LeBron James dunk video card for like $20,000 and $30,000. So there was somebody that bought these cards and couldn't sell it, right? They bought one for thousands of dollars and then went to sell it and couldn't sell it because the market changed and the value crater. And then they say, oh, these are securities. They're selling securities without the government's consent. And this is illegal. And I was misled about the value of these things and all this other stuff. And she tried to sue. But in their terms of agreement, they got, hey, you will not sue us in there, right? I think it's indemnify or something like that. Right? You can't sue us. So thrown out of court. You agreed to not sue. Can't turn around and sue once things don't go your way. You agreed to it. And that's the same thing with this Tunecore stuff. You agreed to it. It is what it is, you know? Word, man. Now, another thing I wanted to take a look at here today is just looking over some of these platforms and things of that nature, because it's something that I came across, right? I think it was called Symphony OS. And I wanted to take a look at it. So pardon me, guys, because I have not really vetted this to a great extent. I just wanted to take a look at it with you guys and see what it was about. Because I saw somebody talking about it. Hold on, y'all. And I'm going to put a link in the description box for y'all to check it out. Let me go here and put this link up here. I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. Yeah, and also, just so y'all know, I put a video up today reviewing, or it's really just a comparison of Venice music distribution versus Tunecore versus DistroKid versus CD Baby. Word. And I put that up because I put up the video breaking down Symphony OS, breaking down Venice. And everybody was like, well, how does this compare to Tunecore or whatever have you? So I was like, all right, let me just do that so these guys could, see how it compares and what the difference is and things of that nature, man. And with this particular analysis, I kind of just focus more on what the differences are, right? Because a distributor like Venice is more about scale than anything. It's not so much about, or really digital distribution overall is about scale. It's about the fact that digital distributors, where you guys get accused of streaming fraud and copyright infringement and they just kick you out, no questions asked, it's like that's the scalable solution because they don't have the resources to address every instance. So it's like they're charging you so little for the service that they can't really afford to provide a quality service to you. And that's a part of the big problem that everybody's running into with streaming fraud and stuff like that. You get it, as long as everything goes great, there's no problem using these services and paying the $20 a year and stuff like that. But when you find out why the price point is a problem is when you have a problem, right? When you need some type of on-hand support and you need somebody to deal with you directly about an issue that you are having particularly, right? Like just you. They don't have the resources and the capacity to be able to address it. And that's why it's just blanket responses. And that's why you guys don't get no one-on-one support from a marketing standpoint or nothing like that. So a company like Venice, they're more expensive, but they're more expensive because they're charging you what it would take to provide a quality service. So it's like, okay, well, we're going to charge you $45 a month or whatever have you, $4.99 a year, and provide great service to you, right? Where you got people you can call, you got people you can talk to, you can book live streams with, they doing one-on-one chats and stuff like that. So, so it's just what they call like white glove service, right? So that's like the difference between the two. So yeah, I put a link to Symphony OS in the description box. And now let's take a look at it together and see what this is about. So they got put your fan base growth on autopilot. Symphony OS is the easiest way to grow your fan base and build your business. Smart automated marketing all on the go. Join free, all right? Because I came across them one in a live stream chat in Venice, like with their community. I was in there just like researching the platform and I saw them talking about it. And then I came across this again in CD Baby because they're offering like a discount through CD Baby where it's like 10% off or something like that, or like a month free or something, right? Our technology has powered campaigns for all of these different artists. We don't know to what extent, so this stuff a lot of times be capped because it's like these guys do so many things in addition to something like this that nothing can really take credit for the success of what they do, But operating systems for artists. Symphony OS uses all the same strategies as the major labels. Yeah, I mean, listen, major labels, I hate when companies like throw stuff like this out because it's basically like major labels use us. That means that you're getting some type of high quality, like, dude, Just because somebody that works at a major label uses this doesn't mean that it's good. A lot of those guys don't know what the hell they're doing either. You know what I'm saying? If they knew what they were doing, right? Like if they were masterminds, you have a much higher success rate with these artists than what you do. But they don't. Their failure rate is about the same as yours, you know? So the fact that they use it don't really mean much. So let's just stick to the facts, Jack. You know, like what do you do? How well do you do it, right? When it comes to getting your songs in front of your listeners, now you can count on one tool to manage and everything, right? See how it works. All right. So it's like an ad management tool. So they're saying fan base growth, okay, audience targeting, automated marketing, yeah, ad management. Symphony's marketing automation platform is geared towards streamlining your fan base growth and is trained on over 125 million fans. Grow every platform seamlessly, run marketing to increase streams, build followers, and grow sales. Smart targeting. Target both existing fans and bring in new fans with Symphony's streamlined targeting tools. Build in the right places. Symphony lets you target your marketing down to the city. Build your touring fan base or go global. Deeper fan base insights. Everything in one place. Symphony tracks stats daily across the platforms that matter to you. No more hopping between apps. Smart visualizations. Track super fans with Symphony's fan base tool. See who your most engaged fans are. So, I mean, the thing about stuff like this, you know, and I'll take a deeper look at this later. But the thing about stuff like Symphony OS and a lot of the AI platforms and things of that nature, they can help simplify things tremendously if you've already got something, because they effectively build on what you already have. So it's like with using them, you got to know who your fans are already. So they want to go in and like pull in your similar artists from your Spotify account in order to know who to target the ad to. That means that you got to have a similar artist in Spotify. If you don't have a similar artist in Spotify, then it doesn't know what to do. You know, it's just cold calling. It's advertising to people in hip hop, right? It's just guessing in the same way you would on Facebook. But what it does do, it just minimize the process where you don't have to go and learn about conversion tracking and Facebook's API and integrate pixels and do all of that different type of stuff. So it can simplify things tremendously, and it's cheap, right? I think it's like $20 a month, you know, but you still got to pay your budget. So whatever you're spending on the ads, if you're spending $100, whatever have you, you know, but $20 a month as opposed to having to pay somebody to manage your ads or just burning money because you don't know what you're doing, could be worth it. You know, it's just that some of this stuff requires hands-on attention, right? Like as long as everything's going perfect, great. But when things ain't working out, you sometimes need somebody to kind of like analyze it and figure stuff out, to be like, okay, well, who is the right audience for this? Maybe you have to go in and target people by income bracket, or target people based on magazine consumption, like the type of websites they visit or something to that effect, and not so much genre or artist or something like that. Because some artists are somewhat of a mystery in regards of who would be into their music. They drift a little bit into all sorts of different genres, you know, so sometimes it could be up in the air. But this platform is interesting, man. And I'm going to take a look at it later. Like I said, I'm going to research it more. But yeah, I'm intrigued by it, you know. Are you intrigued? Yeah, I'm intrigued, you know. Now, I'm going to take a quick break for a message from our sponsor. We have a sponsor, good people. Yeah. This video is sponsored by Mogul, where you can make sure you're collecting all of the royalties you owe and not just the ones you know about. See how much you're earning from every revenue source across your entire catalog. Connect any distributor or royalty collection entity to automatically pull in reports. Conduct your own audits by comparing and contrasting royalties for songs across revenue sources to spot discrepancies and see where money's getting stuck to the gum under the table. Mogul, I use it, so should you. Yeah, man. So, now, I'm going to shut up, check the chat, see who in the building, shout people out. If you're watching, you want to shout out, tap in, you know. If you got something you want me to take a look at, you got some questions or whatever have you, speak now or forever hold your peace, because I'm going to get on up out of here. All right, y'all? So let me check and see what y'all talking about in the building, man. So we got Zope Belafonte, what up? We got Jose Irizarry, was good. We got Normalized Audio, was popping. Video 4.0 was good. Word up, man. Yeah, man, let me see what's good. People saying, hey, Gif, how are you? What up? DJ Armand. DPM. Yeah, man. Normalized Audio is like, yo, I'm all in 1 cent, man. Yeah. I mean, somebody had said something. I think it was, hold on. Let me find him. Just so I could credit him for his comment. Right? Yeah. Imani Murray, acapella. He was saying, he was like, I hope the government doesn't make a minimum wage streaming wage law. It would be bad for indie artists and only serve to make the major labels more money. And here's his reasoning for that. Because he says, step 1, make a law that says all artists make X amount. Step 2, kick out all artists not signed to a major label. Step 3, profit. And I can't say that he would be wrong and feeling that way, because that could be, like I was telling you guys just now, about them buying up all of the digital distributors and then making you have to apply in order to qualify for digital distribution. Because the thing with that law, if they passed it, first off, it's way more complicated than what anybody really is understanding. Because in order to pass something like that and implement it, somebody has to collect those royalties. So you got to create an institution like an ASCAP or something like that. Like you got to create something like that. And then they got to create a website that people can go to claim those royalties, and a payment system and a way to have people register to collect their royalties. And then to keep it from being just a situation where everybody decides to sign up. Because if you're saying, hey, you know, if you get any kind of people to listen to your music, we're paying you at least a penny per stream. Everybody and their mama might do that, you know, not just musicians, but anybody, because there is no limit. There is no definition of who gets classified as a recording artist and gets a piece of the pie. So that's the other thing. They would have to create some type of restriction or requirement to say, oh, you got to have either X amount of streams or something like that in order to qualify, because then everybody would just jump on and do it. So yeah, he could be potentially right. And the fact that they might change the rules to make it so everybody doesn't qualify, so those who they feel like are working musicians actually get paid, and not have the revenue pool dilute to an extent where it just doesn't even make sense to have it, because the artists aren't making money anyway, because there's so many people taking a piece of the pie that nobody gets anything to write home about, because the whole objective is to help artists make a living. So if the pool gets so diluted that nobody can make, it still ends up not making enough to make a living, then it's just counterproductive. You know? Martian Z, what up, yo? Yeah, man. Normalized Audio was talking about Tunecore's Mediator. He was like, Mediator is the CEO's sister-in-law. Yeah, right? Wild conflicts of interest. Video 4.0 says, in that case, if I build my own audience, I don't need distribution. I mean, yes and no, because the reality of the situation is, despite the fact of having people that support you or that follow you on Instagram or whatever have you, people go where they go to consume music. So you're not gonna make somebody buy your music that streams music. You know, you're not gonna make somebody that buys music from iTunes buy from your website. So what happens is you just end up losing a sale because that person is like, I don't know what's happening with your website. I'm not buying music there, and they're just not gonna buy it. Same thing with somebody that streams, like, well, this would be great if it was available on Spotify, but it's not. So they just don't listen to it. So in effect, you could end up losing out more than you gain. So it's kind of a bit of a dance. Some artists can sell enough to where it doesn't matter. But other artists, it's like not enough people will buy for you to make a living, whereas the numbers in regards to consumption will far exceed the amount of sales, you know, and the amount of revenue that you could make from sales. And sales isn't easy, man. You know, let's get that straight too. You got building a website, you got e-commerce solutions, domain names, webmasters, you know, keeping everything up, customer service, all of these different types of things that is involved with running a business on some on some direct to customer type time, you know. And in addition to that, I mean, the reality of the situation is if an artist builds like a personality on social media to where you got a following of people who are just like engaged with you as like a character almost, then yeah, you wouldn't need to do digital distribution, not because you're selling music direct to fan, but because you could make more money through sponsorships and things of that nature than you could through selling music. Like, if we're being honest, artists, if the goal is to make money, all artists will probably make far more money if they just were on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, live streaming, doing Freestyle Friday or something like that, where they just was like rapping, picking different topics to rap about and stuff like that, and just having people send money through super chats or something to that effect. They would make more money doing that than they would from streaming or something to that effect. You know, somebody builds up a following, and or somebody joins Instagram, and rather than spending their money to try to get people to stream their music on Spotify, they just spend money to advertise their social media account to drive more followers, and they get to a point where they got 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers, then they could go out and get $500 per post or $700 per post or something like that. And that will far exceed anything they would make from streaming, you know? So it's like, it just becomes a matter of, okay, well, how are you operating? Because for a lot of artists, they don't want to be on social media in the first place, you know, playing the whole game, doing the coke and the smile thing. So it just becomes a matter of what works for you. Word, man. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for tapping in. I'm going to get on up out of here. As always, y'all can hit me up at PayUsNoMind on Instagram, at PayUsNoMind on Twitter, PayUsNoMind@gmail.com. This is Gift signing off. PayUsNoMind. Peace, good people. One. Y'all be good out there. I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill.